All right. Well, welcome everyone. This is you know who, David Morgan of theMorganReport.com. And this is a podcast with Crypto Rich. Those that have followed my work and watched most of my videos are familiar with him. And we have you've interviewed me several times, and actually this is a turnaround. You reached out to me on a pirate chain coin, and I'm always interested. I'm not locked into a box. I mean, my mission statement is to teach and empower people to understand the benefits of an honest money system. And in an honest system, the lowest of the low to the highest of the high has equal access, level playing field, we refer to it as. So that's why I like the honest money gold and silver, because an ounce of silver is the same value for anyone that holds it. But the crypto sphere has come in about 2009 with the advent of Bitcoin, and there's been lots of iterations through there. And one we don't hear too much about, and one that I'm fairly familiar with, and that's what are the real privacy coins, not the pseudo coins where you go through an exchange and they get your name, rank, and serial number, and really you're in a centralized exchange, but the Monero type of coins. And this is called Pirate Chain, I believe. You called me up and said, let's do a video. So Crypto Rich, welcome to the Morgan Report. Welcome. You look like you're juiced up and ready to talk. Introduce yourself briefly, because there'll be new people. After that, tell us about Pirate Chain.
Sure. David, thank you so much for agreeing to have me on, and you will be back on my channel at some point soon, no doubt, and I really enjoy those videos. And by the way, you're one of the people that when I first started learning about money in 2011, I was working as a social worker, which is what I do now. You were one of the people that I started following and learned a lot about gold and silver from listening to you. I have been running a channel on crypto since April 2017, just before the bull run, and I've been shadow banned on both my YouTube channels. I'm still broad posting on YouTube, but I really appreciate if people come and follow me on my Odyssey channel, bit.ly/CryptoRichOdyssey, or on 3Speak, bit.ly/CryptoRich 3Speak. Those are decentralized channels. You can earn crypto for watching videos there. You can also find me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT, and join my official Telegram announcements channel. So thank you, David. That's where you can find me. And I cover crypto and gold and silver and politics, macro politics, about what's going on in the world, because there is some craziness going on in the world, David.
Indeed, there is.
Yes.
So how did you find out about Pirate Chain? Did someone bring it to you? Is this an invention of yours?
No, it's not an invention of mine. I'm one of the crew at Pirate Chain. I'm a first mate. It's a volunteer-run project. They released the code in 2018, August 2018, and I don't know if you've heard of Komodo.
No.
Okay, so Komodo is a fork of Zcash, which is a fork of Bitcoin. And people who aren't familiar with cryptocurrency, so first we have Bitcoin, and then what happened is some developers said, okay, well, we'll adjust the code for Bitcoin slightly and launch a new coin called Zcash, which has optional privacy. So you can either send a transaction that everybody can see on the blockchain, or you can send a private transaction. And then some other developer said, well, Zcash is good, but we'll refine it a bit better and we'll turn it into Komodo. So they launched Komodo. That's the forking process, like a tree branches off.
Mm.
So, and then some of the Komodo developers, which are quite extraordinary, were tinkering around and wondering, is it possible for every single transaction to be invisible? Because Komodo has optional privacy, Zcash has optional privacy, Dash has optional privacy. Can we make every single transaction on Pirate Chain private so that nobody can see it, no data on the blockchain? And they managed it. And where I want to go, where I thought I'd like to go, is about the qualities of money, which is one of the things I learned off you and many others back in 2011 when I was learning about money, right? So one of the things about money, and this is distinct from fiat currency like pounds and dollars and euros, but we're talking about gold, silver, and Bitcoin. But one of the qualities Bitcoin doesn't have. So gold and silver are both scarce. You can't print any more. They're both portable. They're both durable. They're both agreeable. Like, people will accept gold and silver. in most parts of the world in exchange for something, and people have done that throughout history. So portable, durable, agreeable, scarce, divisible. So you can divide gold up into little bits, and same with silver, same with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has all of these features as well. And fungible, which, as I imagine your viewers will know, is that 1 ounce of gold, 99.9% gold, is the same as another ounce of gold that's 99.9%. It's exchangeable. You know, a can of Coke looks like any other can of Coke. So that's the fungibility. It's not the same with Bitcoin. So if you give me an ounce of silver, that's the same as any other ounce of silver. But what if the ounce of silver you gave me, when you gave it to me, also had a ledger which had its history? That David got it from Susan, who got it from John, who got it from Jack, who got it from Jeffrey. And I could see who's had that ounce of silver before. And then another ounce of silver, which has a different history. And I could see, oh, this person had it before, and this person had it before, or this person had it before. That eliminates the fungibility. Bitcoin has that problem because you can see the history. You can't see the names, but you can see the addresses. Okay, it came from this Coinbase wallet, and then it went into this other wallet which has all these other Bitcoins in it, and then it was from another wallet which was from Kraken. And then another Bitcoin will have a different history. So that destroys the fungibility. It also makes Bitcoin pseudonymous. Like, it's not fully anonymous in the way that gold or silver are, because there's no tie to the owner of it. So some cryptocurrencies have attempted to remedy that by being private, like Dash has done, and Zcash has done, and Komodo has done. Komodo no longer a privacy coin, but with optional privacy. But when you have optional privacy, you don't really have privacy, because it still leaves a trace. There's data that can be analyzed. And I'm of the opinion, David, that without privacy, we have no freedom. You know, and that's what CBDCs represent, the complete loss of freedom, because the governments will be able to know what we spent, when we spent it, how much we spent it on, what we spent it on, how much we spent, when and where, and everything. And then they'll have the ability to limit how much we spend or take a little bit out of our wallet as per their choosing. So Pirate Chain is the antidote to CBDCs. It's like, David, if you and I, and maybe one day this will happen, you and I will meet in a room, there'll be nobody watching us, and I will give you a silver Britannia, which I think, by the way, is a beautiful coin, and you will give me in exchange a silver Liberty Eagle. Is that right? Yeah.
Right.
Nobody will know that we did that. It's just between you and me. But with Bitcoin, if I send you Bitcoin from my wallet, people will know that it went from this address to that address. And they'll be able to look inside your wallet and say, oh, that address has got quite a lot of Bitcoin. That address, David Morgan's address, has got more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy, than MicroStrategy, than Michael Saylor, right? Right. Now, it also has commercial application. By the way, feel free to interrupt me. It also has commercial applications, because if, I'm running a car mechanic workshop and I take payment in Bitcoin, and then you've got a rival workshop in the same town, you'll be able to see how much Bitcoin I'm taking and what I'm charging for the services, and vice versa. You've got to have, confidentiality for commercial reasons. So Pirate Chain is the most secure and anonymous privacy cryptocurrency going, in my opinion. More private and secure than Monero. Now, I bought Monero, I think in 2016 or something. I bought some when it was about 40 cents. I did really, really well. And Monero is fabulous, fabulous. Except there's a few flaws with Monero. It's not scarce. It's forever. There's an endless supply of Monero. that's going to be mined. I mean, the emission rate will slow down over time, but there's no cutoff point like there is with Bitcoin, like there is with Pirate Chain. Then the other thing with Monero is to do with its anonymity set. It uses different privacy cryptographic protocols to Pirate Chain. Pirate Chains are more secure, but then I would say that. But I'll say a little bit how, right? Monero's anonymity set is less than 100. It might even be as low as 12. I can't remember, but it's low. And what that is I give you a needle, and I hide the needle in 100 blades of grass. Well, you're going to be able to find it. It's not going to be that difficult. That's like a metaphor for the anonymity set. Pirate Chain's anonymity set increases with every transaction. And the last time I looked a couple of months ago, it was 500,000. So you've now got a needle in 500,000 blades of grass, and more blades of grass are being added.
All right, let me pause you there, because this is something that's been pretty much of concern to me, and that is not only the cyber warfare, but the security aspect of not only the internet, but of the crypto space. So I just read recently, I think within the last week, that with quantum computing, that you would be able to break the code of almost anything that exists right now. Are you familiar with those statements?
Yeah, I've heard that it will be possible. I've heard that it won't be possible. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. That's why, and well, I appreciate the honest answer. The thing that bothers me, and I'll give it back to you, is, and especially from Mr. Snowden, I really admire his guts and what he did. And, as far as I'm concerned, he's a patriot, of course.
Yeah.
The mainstream doesn't look at him that way, but, I'm a maverick. I see things differently than most anyway. But he talks about the security aspect as well. And that's why he likes Monero. But I haven't seen him talk about it specifically in some time. The point being is what he has said, and that is that the hackers are ahead of everybody else. The hackers see how the code has been written, and then they can find the flaws in it and go in. So he implied, and I agree with him, they're usually one step ahead of all the programmers. And that's why a lot of these security outfits will hire reformed hackers to come into their employment so that they can try and mitigate any future problems. I'm not saying that, to me, I want it private. I want it private forever. I want the anonymity. I don't want it ever to be hacked. But in today's world, I think you have to think about that. And that's why, even in the precious metals world for a minute, just to take another couple of minutes of your time, I advocate 3 locations. Because if you have your life savings in one location and they find it, you went out of 100, you find it, you're done. But if you have it divided up in thirds, you got a lot more ability to at least hold on to, 2/3 of it or whatever. I just think it's common sense. And that's why in some of these cryptos, I think it's good to feed them your requirement like you would a bank account. You don't want to get too much of your bank account that could be confiscated if they do a bail-in. You just want to put enough for, let's say, your monthly expenses or whatever. And I imagine you can do that with Pirate Chain. Is that true?
Yeah, it's a coin. It's not a platform. It's a privacy cryptocurrency. And could the code be hacked? It's possible. That's why I advocate that people should hedge. Have gold, have silver, have Bitcoin, have Pirate Chain, have Monero, have some of the other stuff that's, visible or whatever. Don't put in any more than you can afford to lose. Who knows what the future is going to hold? So diversify. I like the idea of it being in, 3 different locations. That's good. I hadn't thought about that with the gold and silver. But I'm not sure. Have I answered your question, David?
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, no one knows. It's just that, I don't want to live in fear. It's just, I think the idea is, I'll just voice it, that there is no 100% guarantee in life. I mean,
no,
you can
even gold
level, and maybe it can be hacked, maybe not. The other part is if you got a big hacker that's going to take on anybody, let's just say it's Bitcoin, are they going to go after somebody with 2 Bitcoin? Or are they going to go after somebody with 10,000 Bitcoin? Well, we know the answer. So
Yeah.
sort of just being a regular person will protect you in some ways, because even though they might have broken into the code, they aren't going to bother you. It's like, breaking into a house and, you've got a big screen TV that's, 8 years old and, nothing of real value. I mean, the burglar's going to say, "Oh crap," leave.
Yes. Well, and then the great thing about Pirate Chain is nobody knows how much is in the wallet. You can't look inside it. Nobody can look inside it. I did this thing once on Twitter. I posted a transaction ID that I did from one wallet to another. And I said, if you can tell me how much went from from the address to another address, at what time, and how much was sent, and what the addresses were, you can have the amount. Nobody got it. Nobody got it because there's no data to analyze. You just can't tell. Now, in terms of hackability, I don't think the Bitcoin code has been hacked. There have been bugs that have been found in it, and it's been forked into Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV and Zcash and who knows what else, right?
I didn't mean to imply that it had been hacked. Sorry.
No. But people may be thinking that, David.
Is it in the future? I don't.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I think you'd agree with me, and I learned this from you and other people like this, that despite your love for silver, because it's much better looking than gold, gold is the ultimate form of money. It's the ultimate foundation of the entire, all the monies and currencies, all goes, even Bitcoin, it's all, and even Pirate Chain, it all goes down to gold in the end. But there's risk with gold. There's risk with everything. There's no guarantees in life, right? But Pirate Chain, there is a particular vulnerability that cryptocurrencies have, which is the double spend attack, 51% attack. So if you've got a small cryptocurrency, we just launched David Morgan coin, right? And people haven't heard yet how wonderful it is. So what I could do is I could capture 51% of the computing power for David Morgan coin. And then that means that I can then change the code to print more David Morgan coins, run off to an exchange, sell those coins for Litecoin or Bitcoin or something, and then I've destroyed David Morgan coin by printing extra coins, taking it over, and I've made off like a bandit. That's what's called a double spend attack. It's not possible in Pirate Chain. So that
How
makes
much double spend attacks go on?
Oh, quite a few. As I remember in the last, I can't remember the particular coins, but as the bull market kicks in and the value of cryptocurrencies goes up and up and up, well, they go to, the hackers go to where the money is. So then you can't hack the Bitcoin code, but you could find a small cryptocurrency that doesn't have a lot of computing power, capture 51% of it, and then can print those off, print extra coins, convert them to Bitcoin, make like a bandit. Now, what happens with Pirate Chain? It has a particular feature called delegated proof of work. So it's a proof of work coin. So you run it on a GPU, and you can produce more Pirate Chain, and it's limited supply. But to do a double spend attack on Pirate Chain, I would need 51% of the computing power of Pirate Chain, plus 51% of the computing power of Komodo, plus 51% of the computing power of Litecoin. So if I've already got 51% of the computing power of Litecoin, then why do I even bother with Komodo and get more computing power for Komodo and then more for Pirate Chain? I'll attack Litecoin and then go and exchange that for Pirate Chain on an exchange. That would be cheaper. And that's because something to do with the code that all the transactions every 10 minutes are hashed onto the Komodo blockchain, then hashed onto the Litecoin blockchain. So a double spend can only last 10 minutes.
Oh,
that's it.
You mind sharing your screen so we can take a little look at how we would get involved in this?
Sure. Let me see to work that out.
Now, you've only learned of this fairly recently because you gave me a call not that long ago, and as soon as I had some available time, I've got you on here. So this is something you're pretty excited about and hasn't been around very long. Is that correct?
Yes, and here we are at this is the pirate.black, and people should make sure that they're going to the right website by checking the certificate. The certificate is valid. I'm using the Decenter browser, which is a fork of Brave, which has a cryptocurrency and is pretty secure. Pirate Chain, they launched the code in August 2018. And then I was asked to start covering it in September 2018. And I was already connected to Komodo. So I said, sure. And I've been covering it. And then eventually they invited me on to become a first mate of the volunteer crew. So just about how it was launched, there was no ICO. There was no pre-mine. Like the team didn't mine a whole bunch of coins for themselves and then release the code. So it was an open source code released in August 2018, and people started mining it like crazy. A few other things about it is, so like I said, it's a volunteer crew. We don't have any money. You know, when we want to get an exchange listing, we ask for donations to then pay the exchange listing fee. And I'm one of the crew because I just think privacy is really, really important. There's a halving every 270 days. So that the new supply that comes on halves every 270 days, and Bitcoin is every 4 years. The transaction times are only a couple of minutes, so it's very, very fast. I'm sorry, I've seen it.
Okay. And I'm looking at 1 year. If I've got the right one, it says Pirate Chain R. Is this one that I was given some information way back in 2018 or 19 from Jeff Berwick on the Pirate Coin. Is this the same one? Do you know, or is
yes,
this
Pirate Chain? Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking over the last year. Now I know we're in a crypto winter, so I'm not picking on Pirate Chain, but looking over the last year, it looks like this has been as high as like 43 cents, 45 cents, and now we're sitting off the bottom and we're up to about 20 cents. So it looks like it's lost about half of its value in the last year or so.
Yes.
Okay. Again, I'm not picking on anybody. I know many of the cryptos are down substantially. I mean, one that I have that's kind of a heavily known one is off a lot more than this one.
So the website, David, is pirate.black, and the ticker symbol is ARRR.
I remember when Jeff put that out. Yeah, I looked at it, I think, very briefly.
Now, what happened was Jeff promoted it to his subscribers, and they drove the price up. And then I think what happened is people, like they cashed out. And then in crypto winter, the bear market, well, as Bitcoin goes to sleep, altcoins, they almost die. They become comatose. That's
True.
all that happened, right? And I'm not saying to people, I'm not making any kind of promise. Listen, buy Pirate Chain, and you'll be able to buy Lambos tomorrow, Lambos by the dozen. No, you might not be able to get a bus ticket tomorrow with currency, right? I make no promises, but I like the fact that it's fast. I like the fact that it's fully anonymous. I like the fact that it's robust. I like the fact that it makes up for that omission that Bitcoin has with fungibility. I like that it's more private and secure than Monero. I like the fact that it has a fixed supply, unlike Monero. And I think, well, if people want to get in early on a really great privacy coin, then maybe take a look at Pirate Chain. And to get Pirate Chain, you would have to go, if you go to pirate.black, there's a list of exchanges. The one that has the most liquidity is TradeOgre, which has no KYC. It deals in predominantly privacy coins. It's got Bitcoin and Litecoin and ETH and USDT, but otherwise lots and lots of privacy coins. Pirate Chain uses what's called zk-SNARKs, which is incredibly secure cryptographic way of preserving privacy. And I think Fluffy Pony, the developer of Monero, has said that zk-SNARKs is a better, more secure method of preserving privacy than what Monero uses, which is ring signatures and I forget something else, CT something, right?
So I'm on the site now, and looks like a pretty easy to navigate site. So can you, if you do this on your desktop, can you automatically just transfer it over to your phone, or is it best to put it on your phone? I mean, most millennials don't, I mean, very, it's my experience, I could be wrong, but walk around airports and everything else. I mean, the laptops are almost dead for the younger generation. Almost everybody just has a smartphone. They don't even bother with anything else. I know that's not true in all cases, but
Yeah.
it's this older generation that still uses desktop, and I love it. I can do more work on a desktop than I can on a laptop, and far more work on a desktop than I can on my phone. But the convenience of your phone, you're, waiting another hour for your airplane or stuck in line or whatever, it's really nice to pull out your smartphone and go through your emails or send a couple quick texts or make a quick call or whatever. So I love the convenience of the smartphone. But anyway, I don't want to digress too far. So can you answer that? Is it good to put it on both, or can you just transfer one to the other and not have to do it twice?
I mean, it's up to people. It's up to people. There's a mobile light wallet. There's a desktop or a laptop light wallet, which doesn't have the whole chain and it's very, very fast to run. There's a full node wallet where you get all the transactions, the history of the blockchain. So it's really up to people. I don't like using mobile wallets, so I don't, because I'm just terrified I'll lose my mobile phone, right?
Right.
But the mobile phone, there are an increasing number of businesses and retail outlets that accept Pirate Chain. There's a website called Armada, ARRRMADA.com, armada.com, which lists various businesses, retail outlets, consultants, whatever, that will accept payment in Pirate Chain. Then there's also barter.com, which is BARRTER.com, which is like a Craigslist or an eBay, where people can buy and sell goods using Pirate Chain. It has a small membership fee, I think $10 a year or something. So there's a growing ecosystem, and Pirate Chain is increasingly being used as a form of payment, because that's all it is. It's not a clever crypto like Ethereum that has all sorts of dogs and whistles and stuff like that. It's just a coin. It's faster than Bitcoin and Monero, and it's cheaper than both currently, and it's fungible that Bitcoin doesn't have. The other thing that I want to, it's good, David, it's good. I like that you like it. The other thing I want to say is about Komodo's Atomic DEX. So Atomic DEX is a fully decentralized, true atomic swap exchange. No KYC. It runs off a mobile phone or a desktop, and it allows for atomic swaps. So what an atomic swap is, David, you have Bitcoin, I have Litecoin. Normally, you'd need an intermediary like fiat or USDT. What an atomic swap is you can sell your Bitcoin for Litecoin. It's a swap, and it's kind of technical and difficult because they're on different blockchains. The people at Komodo have worked out true atomic swaps with between Bitcoin, all the Ethereum assets, the Binance Smart Chain assets. I think they're putting on the Cosmos assets, and they've worked out true atomic swaps for Pirate Chain, which is really, really difficult for a privacy coin. So the program works with, say, we're doing a swap from Bitcoin to Litecoin. There's no man in the middle. There's no counterparty risk. There's no escrow or anything like, say, with Agora Desk or local Bitcoins or anything like that. It's not a centralized exchange where you're entrusting your coins to another party, nothing like that. And it's fully decentralized. With you send the Bitcoin, I send the Litecoin, the transaction goes through for both of us, or it doesn't go through at all. So it's not like you're going to send your Bitcoin and not get Litecoin again. So it's fully peer-to-peer and secure like that. They've worked out how to do that with Pirate Chain. Now the code needs to check with Bitcoin and Litecoin. Okay, David is sending Rich 1 Bitcoin and Rich is sending 1 Litecoin. David has agreed to that transaction. Oh, well,
Sure.
buyer beware, right?
Right.
Now, it checks that you've got the Bitcoin that you're sending it. I've got the Litecoin that it's sending it, and then off it goes. How do you do that with a privacy coin? Because you can't look inside the wallet. What it does is the transaction. So you're going to send me 1 Bitcoin for 1 pirate chain. Again, buyer beware. What it does, it splits the transactions up into tiny, tiny little transactions. So a fraction of a Bitcoin comes through and the fraction of the 1 R comes through. And then it goes on to the next one. Then it goes on to the next one. So it breaks that transaction up into lots and lots of little transactions. So it's fully decentralized, peer-to-peer, open source, and you can get Pirate Chain on it. It's small, so it doesn't have the sort of liquidity that you're going to have on Trade Ogre. But I think as the governments become more and more authoritarian and more onerous and more demanding that they get an increasing share of our pie, then decentralized, fully anonymous services are going to become more and more important.
Couldn't agree more. I like what you said a moment ago about, like an eBay type of situation where you pay $10 a year or whatever it is, and you're able to go peer to peer on, goods, services, I presume. That's one thing about Load that we really haven't pushed very hard, but we do have that. And one of the ideas is sort of like a rewards card, So if you buy minutes on your phone in Mexico, for example, and you buy it with pesos and you pay for 50 pesos worth of minutes, if you buy 50 pesos worth of Load, and which means you're using a silver coin, you get 60 minutes worth of product. So in other words, you get rewarded for using, an asset-backed digital currency. Which I don't know if that's the case with Pirate, but what I like is that we're working together. We've got peer-to-peer, and we basically, can stick it to the man on a small scale. It's not ubiquitous enough where it's everywhere, where everyone can use it. And I go into the local grocery store and go ARRR and move out with my card. But, we might get there. I mean, there's some really smart people that are working on this. And that's why the first question off air before we started the recording was, is it possible to put it through to a wallet or, from a wallet into a card? And the answer is no. But actually, there may be a way, and I'm not smart enough to know this, but we just had our finance call on Load this morning, and one of our group leaders was talking about how if you have a card on, I think it's it's not Coinbase, it's Crypto Wallet, I think. Anyway, there's ways to move things around, which I'm not saying you could put in a wallet, but I'm not saying it might be possible. My point is, I'm going to digress even further. Did you ever see the series I think it was on Netflix, called Mr. Robot?
No, I don't watch Netflix. I don't watch TV. I spend too much time on screens as it is.
Good for you. I am not much of a TV watcher, but my youngest daughter said, "Dad, you're just going to love this Mr. Robot. You're going to love it. You're going to love it." And so, in the middle of winter, I started watching it. It's I forget when it came out, a few years back, and I got hooked about the 3rd or 4th episode. And what it's about cryptos and a lot of things, but it really ends up, the end of the movie is where the control freaks have got control of basically the cryptocurrency, every aspect of it. And yet these really smart programmers get it back from them, and they put it through what's called a spinner, which is just a word, and they load up the people's wallets. So all these people are waking up in the morning and looking at their wallet, and they got, $1 million on there, whatever. And all the bankers are looking at their wallets and it reads 0. it just gave me a real kick in the butt when I watched that movie. I just brought it up because I got such a kick out of it. I thought maybe you'd seen it,
I haven't
but it
seen
was
it.
just the privacy idea and putting the power back to the people. It's I may
David,
rewatch the last couple episodes just to kind of remind myself of how much fun that was to see these control freaks get their just desserts.
but David, what you said points to something, and I want to take it back to something you said earlier about hackers. Hackers, will they be able to hack this and hack Pirate Chain or hack Bitcoin or whatever, right? And
Right.
then also about the WEF, shutting down the internet. If that happens, then what if they shut down the internet? They lose their control mechanism,
Right.
right? How are they going to surveil us? CBDC needs the internet. Now they might put it back on with all sorts of security bells and whistles, like you got to sign on before you can get onto the internet and do KYC and stuff. But there are workarounds, and human beings are so innovative. They will create something that works around it. So there's always this. So the authorities are going to end up playing whack-a-mole. There's a decentralized VPN, a blockchain decentralized VPN, Sentinel.co, and they and Pirate Chain are founder members of the Blockchain Privacy, Security and Adoption Alliance, whole bunch of cryptocurrency projects that work to promote privacy and security. So the governments, so you can get past the internet and stuff by using a VPN. So the governments can say, okay, well, we're going to shut down or have backdoors into the centralized VPNs. Well, people will use decentralized VPNs. What are you going to do? There's a decentralized internet, Quartal, QARTAL, that's being built. So all that happens when they suppress us.
Right.
It just makes it more attractive to find workarounds.
I couldn't agree more. And if I could just interject one that I mentioned recently, I haven't done it very often, but think about the CBDC. Okay, these SOBs, they want that. But let's just say that because they can't do it, they hire everybody. They're having their, they're on their third yacht, drinking their, their champagne and smoking their cigar, or whatever the hell they do. And just say the programmer's a patriot. Yep. And what's in the CBDC is, backdoor or whatever, that it works perfectly in the government entity for 6 months, and then the whole thing blows up or whatever. I mean, you can't outthink freedom. Nothing's more precious, at least in my view, and what I've read and seen and worked toward. And so, who's to say that just because they pay them some astronomical amount of money or whatever, especially if they're smart enough to do it in an anonymous way, that because it's not going to be one person that writes the code. It's going to be a group. And, I just think the way of human nature, a lot of the markets are not math. I always thought I could beat the markets because I had such a strong math background. I had the highest SAT score in math going to Cal Poly the year that I applied. So I got this letter from the university. We're very happy to have you. You got the highest SAT score in math. Welcome aboard, kind of thing. Okay. Well, once I got out of school, and I'd already been trading stocks, but not in a very serious way. No, it's more, you have to know more about psychology than you ever have to know about math if you're going to beat the markets. And that leads right back to the freedom thing. People crave, freedom. Now, maybe not people, and I hate to sound better than anybody because I'm not, and I don't believe that, but I've been a free market thinker my whole life. People that have been, let's say, persuaded or programmed, if I can use that word, to believe stuff that just isn't true. And they think that they can think, but actually they've been programmed. And it's no fault of their own. They're just put in front of the boob tube, when they're 4 years old, and they sit there for many, many hours, and now they've been programmed. They don't even know they've been. Anyway, I digress to make the point that I think you're right. I think, and we said this before we started the interview, was that more and more people are not only waking up, but I think more and more people are willing to take action. Because once you're in the prison, it's pretty hard to break out. But if you've got an escape door, an escape route, and your friends can come and see you at night and unlock it or whatever before this thing really gets going, and then you can have your way with the with the jailer, let's say, then we've got something. And I think we're moving that way. I mean, this coin is one small example of what people are willing to do to circumvent the control freaks.
Yeah. And David, I'd like to give two examples. One that I want to promote, right? Or let people know about, and they can look into it for themselves. But you know about the 15-minute cities and low traffic networks. You may not know, your viewers may not know what's happening in London. So, the London Council is putting up these cameras to surveil, and you drive into London, you have to pay a charge in addition to the congestion charge. If your vehicle doesn't meet certain emission criteria, and then they can always change the criteria at the stroke of a pen. It's made it unaffordable for the poor, for pensioners, for small businesses to go into London. So it's designed to destroy small businesses, and they're saying they're doing it to affect pollution, to reduce pollution, which is complete nonsense. The cameras, they're at regular points throughout London. So there's a group called the Blade Runners, plus others, who are getting angle grinders for about $60, $70 and sawing them down. You get loads of videos on Twitter and Telegram and stuff, the guys, and just chopping them down. So then it cost the local authority, I don't know how many thousands of pounds to replace them. Well, they got the angle grinder, they just use it again, portable angle grinder, they chop it down, right? Or other things, spray the camera glass with some sort of paint or something. Those are low-tech solutions that people are doing. I think it's shocking, absolutely shocking. Then the other is the workarounds that we find out. There's a website called probityco.com, probityco.com, set up by a guy who's an anti-war campaigner. And he's found a way where people can legally, this applies in the US, by the way, legally not pay tax. Any tax. Any form of payment, including LTN fines or court fees or traffic violations or capital gains tax, income tax, all of that. In any country that's a signatory to the Geneva Convention on against genocide and against terrorism, and that's ratified it, it is against the law in the UK to give money to any agency that's an accessory to, that aids and abets genocide. And genocide is legally defined within statute in the UK as the killing of one or more people who are united by race, nationality, ethnicity, or religion as part of a wider policy. So the UK support for the war in Ukraine. Oh, and the British government is not exempt from its provisions. As from a Supreme Court decision, right? So if I pay my capital gains tax, and then some of that money gets used to foment war in Ukraine or Israel or Gaza or Yemen or wherever the British get up to stuff, right? Over 80 nations since the Second World War have been attacked, either directly or indirectly, with the British facilitating it. Not that far behind from the US. Twins, right? Hegemonic twins out to kill people in foreign lands. Well, I could get convicted and maximum penalty 30 years. So then what I could do, I have done this, by the way, I'm not recommending people do this, you need to look into it yourself, is I told the HMRC, these are the given references to statute, please prove to me that I'm not breaking the law by paying you, and that you're not breaking the law by asking for the money. Probityco.com. If people are opposed to war, or they're opposed to the rollout of the government spending money on Great Reset, government's spending money on opening up the borders, the government spending money on the crazy climate change agenda, the government spending money on destroying farming, we've got to find workarounds. Pirate Chain is one of those workarounds.
Well, it's been a delightful conversation. Is there anything you'd like to say in summary before we close out?
Well, I would like to say, David, that it's always delightful talking to you. Thank you so much. And I recommend people go check out pirate.black and also check out my channel as well. And at some point, David will be back probably in the new year. Exciting things happening with gold. I'm waiting for silver. Waiting for silver, David. Our hair is going grey. It's going silver coloured, waiting for silver.
Definitely.
It soon
All
come.
right. Well, thank
David,
you.
thank you so much.
You're most welcome.